Hi, everyone. The feature race on Saturday at Del Mar is the $100,000 Desi Arnaz Stakes. It's for two-year-old fillies going 6 1/2 furlongs. And in this division this year, juvenile fillies in California, fame is fleeting. You rise to the top, and next thing you know, you are on the sidelines. It happens every year with two-year-olds. Two-year-olds tend to get hurt, sick, whatever. But perhaps this year more than ever. And I only bring it up just as a reminder that this race, the Desi Arnaz Stakes, it is significant. It's not a graded stakes race, but it might provide some definition to a division that certainly needs it. Let's take a look at some of the top two-year-old fillies that have since been sidelined. Ain't Easy scored a decisive win in the Chandelier Stakes. She was headed toward the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She probably could have hit the board behind Echo Zulu, but she came down with a chipped ankle, so she's out until next year. Electric Ride, impressive debut winner at Del Mar in summer, runner-up in the Chandelier. She has passed away. Grace Adler, impressive winner of the Del Mar Debutante, bombed in the Chandelier. Trainer Bob Baffert was trying to get her to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She did not work to his satisfaction. She hasn't worked since late October. Dance to the Music, runner-up in the Del Mar Debutante. She bombed in the Chandelier, has not worked since then. I would assume that trainer Mark Ladd is freshening her for a 2022 campaign. Elm Drive, she won the Grade 2 Sorrento Stakes. We're going to take a look at Elm Drive in a couple minutes because she gave Ida all she can handle. Anyway, Elm Drive's most recent start was October 1st. She is undergoing a freshening. Connie Swingle, impressive California-bred daughter of Grayson. Her last two starts have been sparkling, a maiden win and a runaway stakes win against Cowbreds. Her last start was in early September. We haven't seen her since. Big Switch scored an impressive win last weekend at Del Mar against Cowbreds. We might be hearing more from Big Switch very soon, but in the meantime, the top six on that list, they're all kind of on the sidelines with status to be determined. So that brings us to the Desi Arnaz Stakes. 6 1/2 furlongs for two-year-old fillies. And this race has been run 6 times at Del Mar, the Del Mar Fall Meet. It was previously called the Moccasin Stakes at Hollywood Park, and it was a prep race for the Hollywood Starlet. Well, now the Desi Arnaz Stakes, the Moccasin became the Desi Arnaz Stakes, and this race can lead to the Los Alamitos Starlet in December at Los Alamitos. Now, one of the challenges that bettors face in the Desi Arnaz is that from a parimutuel perspective, this has not been a very attractive race. In fact, it's been run 6 times during the fall meet at Del Mar. Average field size for the Desi Arnaz Stakes over 6 runnings, 4.8 starters per race. So this is a stakes race that does not attract big fields. It's very difficult on which to find parimutuel value. And the same probably is going to happen this year. At least the field size, if all 5 start, the average field size will go up. It's 5 starters this year. Let's take a look at the field for the Desi Arnaz Stakes. It's race number 8 on Saturday, and number 5, Ida, is going to be a very short price for reasons that we will get into. She's trained by Baffert. Her stablemate Under the Stars ran okay first time out. She's a maiden, second-time starter adding blinkers. We're going to take a look at her debut in a couple minutes and judge for yourself if you think that Under the Stars can move forward. I think she can. Lady T, runner-up in a maiden race, runner-up behind Ida last time out. Tonalitos won a turf sprint first time out, and Endless Thirst is expected to be the longest shot in this 5-horse field. It's race number 8, and it revolves around a filly that I expect to be the odds-on choice, and that's number 5, Ida. Ida actually finished second across the wire in her career debut way back in June. One of the interesting things about Ida is she's campaigned since the middle of June, and she hasn't had any interruptions in her racing and or training, which is unusual for this particular crop. She's been able to string together a series of races, only 4 starts so far, but she continues to run well, and she'll be tough to beat. She's drawn outside. She's the only front runner in this 5-horse field. Typically, you get a field of 5 sprinters. You would expect a couple of them maybe to have some gas. That's not the case. Ida is the only front runner in the field. She's running against 4 other closers. And again, she's going to be the odds-on favorite. She'll be very tough to beat based on her last two good races, including her most recent start, and it was at Santa Anita. Let's take a look at the stretch run for the Enokia Stakes. Ida pressed the pace too wide. She took charge at the quarter pole. That's Lady T on the outside. And look at Flavian Pratt on the winner, Ida. He is sitting virtually motionless. He's going to take a peek over his left shoulder here momentarily, take a look at the big board, the big screen inside to see where Lady T is. No reason to get into Ida, and she wins for fun with Lady T running well in second. Let's go back to Del Mar, and this is the race I referred to earlier. Elm Drive on the inside, Ida on the outside. This is the second career start for Ida, who was placed first via disqualification in her career debut. Second time out, she improved a ton. Elm Drive was a good filly at the time and would not let Ida go by, but Ida finished 13 lengths, more than 13 lengths clear of third. So that was the last time that Ida ran well at Del Mar. She did show up in the Del Mar debutante and engaged in a wicked pace duel and backed up. But she returned to form, as we saw last time out in the Enokia. She gets a ready-made pace scenario in a field that is otherwise completely void of speed, and Ida is going to be a short price, and she'll be very tough to beat. Her stablemate Under the Stars, however, is kind of an interesting filly for a couple reasons. First of all, Baffert doesn't just throw maidens into a stakes race, typically, unless he wants the race to fill. But Under the Stars actually ran well in her career debut, and she's bred to be something halfway decent, actually better than that. She's a daughter of Pioneer the Nile, produced by a mare named Untouched Talent. Untouched Talent was a precocious graded stakes winner a few years ago. And the best foal so far, produced by Untouched Talent, none other than Bodemeister. He finished second in the Kentucky Derby, and he won the Arkansas Derby a few years ago. So Under the Stars has pedigree. She's trained by the right guy, Baffert, and her career debut, I guess it was disappointing if you thought she was going to win as the odds-on favorite, but she actually ran okay. Let's take a look at the stretch run of Under the Stars in her career debut, and she's going to circle wide on the outside. She started at 70 cents on the dollar in this 8-horse field based on a string of impressive workouts, but she didn't have a whole lot of speed. She was under a drive on the turn, and she kept grinding and grinding and grinding, and she falls short. She ran well. Yes, it was disappointing at odds on, but she ran well. She finished well. She galloped out well. She's coming back in 2 weeks, and Baffert is slapping a set of blinkers on number 3, Under the Stars. So how many lengths will Under the Stars improve second time out? I don't know, but you have to respect her trainer and her ability and her pedigree. I would expect Under the Stars to improve significantly with a race under her belt and the equipment change. Okay, a couple other horses to at least take a look at, including the debut winner, Tonalitos. Now, Tonalitos faces some challenges on Saturday in the Desi Arnaz. First of all, her career debut was on turf. Secondly, she rallied from far behind a blistering early pace. The pace scenario set up the closing rally of Tonalitos. On Saturday, she's running on dirt, and the pace scenario does not work in her favor. But her win was pretty doggone impressive. Let's take a look at the stretch run of Tonalitos on grass at Santa Anita, and she's way on the outside. She rallied from far back, lost a ton of ground, and it didn't matter. Here comes Tonalitos on the outside to blast home in a race that unfolded at a very quick pace, 44 3/2 mile. This was a 6 furlong race, and Tonalitos just getting warmed up the wire. And she actually won with something left. She's interesting because we don't really know how good she is yet. That was her first career start. She ran well. She lost ground. She finished with run. That was 6 furlong, 6.5. Should be no problem whatsoever. The Desi Arnaz Stakes often leads to the Grade 1 Starlet at Los Alamitos. That race is run in early December. I think it's December 4th, a mile and the 16th. And although trainer Bob Baffert has suggested that Ida is probably just a sprinter, if she wins the Desi Arnaz as expected, Baffert is going to be tempted, you would think, to maybe give her a shot around 2 turns in the Starlet, which probably is not going to come up with a very deep or strong field. So it's all about Ida in the Desi Arnaz Stakes. I expect her to win as the odds-on favorite. Her stablemate, number 3, Under the Stars, is interesting with blinkers on, likely to improve second time out. Baffert, since opening day of the Santa Anita Winter Meet, has started horses in 73 races in which he had at least 2 starters. He won 43 of those races, and 19 times Baffert finished 1-2. When he has multiple starters in a race, 19 of the last 73 start races, Baffert trainees completed the exacta. Probably the same thing on Saturday in the Desi Arnaz. It's Ida over Under the Stars, race 8, Saturday at Del Mar.